Yeah, yeah.
And
um,
sending healing vibes to our brother Luke
yes.
before.
He
As
is
well.
he's positive now, so we're always positive. But um, right now, just I'm sure
Mm,
he'll be fine. And
mm,
hope for fast recovery and health. And then today we actually want to talk about the topic of the social exchange,
mm,
which I've kind of alluded on before. It's quite an Asian concept in terms of we talk about face.
mm,
In Mandarin, it's called mianzi, which actually just literally means face. So it's
mm,
this kind of general respect and a social benefit that you give to people that you've never met
mm.
to start off with,
Yeah.
so that everyone starts at a very positive note and a very high
Mm,
note. Um, and I see obviously the advantages of it, but also the disadvantages of it. But the main thing is learning how to navigate through it.
mm.
Is a benefit for also business and interactions in the North American world, which I think is quite interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
but you've probably heard lots about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, being immersed in the Chinese culture as well with Asian traditions of being respectful to your elders, right?
Yep,
Just
yep,
being respectful in general to other
yep.
people. I know the
Yes.
concept of face, and that face comes along with a lot of pride, comes along with
Yeah.
a lot of like navigating certain situations and keeping up with the Joneses in terms of status as well, because you don't want to lose
Yes.
face, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I can bridge that back into the Western world where that can relate in terms of creating win-win relationships,
Mhm, mhm.
because not all of us would talk about that, right? Sometimes we sacrifice ourselves. It's a lose win. Or look at this, you got to destroy the competition, right? You got to bulldoze
Yeah,
everybody, and
crush.
it's a
Yeah.
hustle crush, right? And that's a
Yeah,
win
yeah,
lose situation. So
yeah.
it's like in terms of energy as well, like thinking about it. If I had a checkbook
Mhm, mhm.
and my time, my energy is my life force,
Yes,
only have a
yes.
certain bit, and I'm writing checks out. Imagine if I'm running money to and giving money to random people freely.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
giving away my life force
exactly,
with no return.
exactly. Yeah, very well
So I have
put.
to be aware of what am I giving my energy to,
Exactly.
even my thoughts, and is there a return? Positive thoughts, positive result.
Correct, and I think that's the thing of assessing the return on investment, for anything, I think in money, in relationships, and also your health.
Mm,
Like today, we're obviously focusing more on the relationship side in terms of the people that you invest your time in. I think in the beginning of my career, or when I was aware about social interactions, I think that was closer to university, like end of the university stages, where I was like, oh, if I'm nice to someone, they want to be around me. So it's like,
mm,
how nice do I be to my surroundings? And naturally, I'm like, oh,
mm,
when I treat them well or find out what they like and treat them the way that they want to be treated, people gravitate naturally more towards me. So that was kind of building that social my social bank account with social assets in a sense of investing time into it. And in turn, like you mentioned, there were lots of kind of low ROI, if anything, negative ROI that I get from investing too much time into individuals that didn't return, or they took a lot more
mm,
than I've given. And it's not that when I approach a new relationship or an interaction that I'm looking for that, like that win lose kind of a situation or a
mm,
win win even. It's very much a giving attitude that I have to be like, oh, it's easy for me to give you this energy that I have, overflowing of. Hopefully, it can enable you to also create, your own social bank account and build on that, right? So,
mm, mm,
but no, I think this is a really interesting topic because I was just sharing with Andre prior to the live stream that there's some amazing projects that I'm working on right now that has been a result of great, social investment basically on
oh,
people, and
mhm,
giving. But now that the project comes back and it's like gigantic and huge, it's like, how do we actually divvy it up properly in terms of the time that we put into it after, because now's the time to actually convert, right? Like
Execute.
we have,
Yeah.
yeah, we invest, something comes in. What do we do with the thing that comes in, and we take it to kind of this next level. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
good
your
point about
experience,
like your network is your net worth, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
in my
exactly.
experience, when I was young, I wasn't aware of that. I was more of
Mm.
like, we're friends, we're nice, so let's hang out. And maybe that was because I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have an
Ah,
intention, right, of where I was
yeah,
going in life. And
yeah,
especially if, I had a job and we hang out and stuff like that. And
mhm,
of course, there's the corporate politics, right, where you kind of
yes,
play along and climb the ladder and those
yeah,
type of relationships.
yeah,
Although I had a unhealthy relationship with authority, so with
mm,
authority, it was more like them on a pedestal and treating them
ah,
different. So it
yeah,
may
yeah,
go
yeah,
to doing more work or not even asking directly for a promotion, though maybe expecting it based on my work.
yeah, yeah,
Though as
yeah,
I got clear on my purpose, now I'm like figure out like who's in alignment with that and
mm,
who
mm,
can
mm.
I help and they help me too. So I'm all looking for win-win relationships, right?
Yep,
One thing with
yep,
BNI, yourself are also BNI as well, right?
yep,
Where it's a
yep,
referral network. So
yes,
a lot of us, we could have center influences where we have
yes,
a referral group. Though let's
yeah,
say we have to give first because giving it is the first act of receivership, isn't it?
yep, yep,
You can't just
givers
expect
gain.
to receive like give let me
Yeah,
get from
yeah,
you,
yeah.
right? No,
I
it
know
doesn't
those
work that
people
way.
too, though.
Though
Yeah.
you got to give first. So if I
Yes.
give to you and I give to this other person, I give to this other person, though only this one person, let's say you gives me referrals back, right?
Yeah,
Then I'm
yeah,
going to serve you because you're the one that is also returning that
yeah, yeah,
that relationship, right?
yeah,
That social exchange. As a realtor, mortgage broker, mortgage broker, mortgage broker.
yeah.
Well, those two other mortgage broker hasn't given me any referrals for people buying houses,
Yeah,
but
you
this
can
person
focus
will.
on the one. Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. Totally,
Well,
totally. And I think to jump on that kind of concept too, sometimes when we jump into interactions, we are concerned with what are we getting out of it.
mm.
A little too much in the front line.
Oh
And
yes, you can
I
feel it.
find, yeah, yeah, and I find it sometimes such kind of an energy suck when you're thinking
Mhm.
about that and you're not listening to
Yes.
what you can actually help that other
What you
individual
can
with.
get instead of
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
give.
Exactly, exactly. And what I've learned from this really amazing dancer, a young dancer too in Los Angeles. He basically shared that he will give anyone 5 minutes to hear
Mm,
them out. I think it has helped me out so much in terms of investing this little time. And 5 minutes is plenty of time for someone to share, kind of, build a mild rapport, and then set the tone for the interaction and share
mm,
their message. It's plenty of time. And then, going through BNI too, I think you learn a lot of skills, and even sales in general. In any type of sales job, you learn to connect quickly, build
mm,
rapport, and then, sell your message. Utilize that the same way into, how you interact with people. Be genuine in that 5 minutes, give the person full 5 minutes, and
mm.
if you hear something that clicks, extend that time for them and open it up. And
Yeah,
that's been such a benefit for me in terms of just giving people, 5 minutes.
mm.
And yeah, I always will give without thinking about the return. Uh,
Yeah,
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 I'm
and you
sure
can
we
give
feel
in
the
different
yeah,
ways.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
give by making that connection, right? That,
yeah.
being the connector. And I love it because when I'm out there, I know when someone's looking for something immediately. I may
Yeah,
not
yeah,
be looking for it. I may not be
yeah,
able to help you. I may we not be maybe a fit, though I may
yeah,
know someone that is. And
yeah.
because of that third triangle connection, you can
Yeah.
create something immediately because they're both looking for each other.
Yes, yes, yes. Kind of that social. I'm gonna call it social thirst, but yeah, that sounds just thirsty people. But for social, I think that
Yeah,
was awesome.
right? We're
For
all looking for
social thirst.
something. So when we have those connectors that are looking out for us, it's like, man, today, like I got a message like from a friends, like someone's looking for a payment terminal. I'm like, great, I'll do that.
Perfect.
It's
Yeah,
just yeah, just
yeah. They
though
know.
at the
They know
beginning,
what
it's like,
you.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm,
Well, and that's the thing when you have constantly shared your message to people, they will have you in mind. And if you've benefited them, and it doesn't have
mm,
to be in what you do, it could be the energy that you give.
mm,
I feel that that's also worked in my advantage a lot. Being an extrovert, I love giving to the environment and the energy of the environment. And I've
Mm,
always felt that, people prefer a positivity and a space to be okay to do what they want to do. I
yeah.
think like when we talked about like being the permission that you give yourself and then also your environment to allow them to shine, right? And
Mm,
that's where I think the social exchange, let's say, a lot of times it's very focused on you're not supposed to do certain things. There are these etiquettes
mm,
or some protocols that you have to follow. I think knowing those things are great, but it's like after you know those things, how do you bend the rules to make it way more interesting? Um,
mm,
and I pride myself, tooting my own horn, but I really pride myself in understanding interaction, but then also understanding how to break the rules to make people kind of have that breath of fresh air
mm.
to come out, be like, "Oh, Romy's
Right.
able to joke around and make everything really chill and
Yeah.
easygoing." Um, but no, sorry, I'm more in a very analytical tone today. This is like
Good.
kind of
Yeah.
the inner workings of I think how I interact with people.
Yeah.
It's I love social interaction so much. I
Mm,
love
mm.
people, and I'm always curious about what people are curious about
Yeah,
that are
you identifying the patterns,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's
Yeah,
very
over time.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
When
very
when you
and
see
I do that too, especially on the
yeah.
dance floor, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Where,
yeah,
there's
exactly.
someone just like this or just sitting down,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just go
yeah,
in front and start dancing, right? And be like, "Come on,
yeah,
come on."
and they'll be
And
like
they're just waiting for that invitation, and if you're
exactly.
dancing silly too, it gives
Yeah,
them the opportunity to also dance and be
to be dumb.
themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to be
be
okay. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and everything's
And that
okay.
that that is a social
Yeah.
exchange because
Yes,
you've left an impression, right?
exactly,
You allow them
exactly.
to play and have fun.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, and
yeah,
open
and
that
if you
up.
go further, that's why the golf courses, the racket clubs, the things that are outside of it, where
Yep.
we like people that can allow us to have fun and be ourselves, we typically do business with.
Exactly, exactly. And another thing that I recognized after Rachel Harrington, my friend, she's an amazing business coach too. She always talks about creating space for
Mm,
people. She's great at doing it too. She actually talks about it less than she actually does for people, which is great. I love people that act and actually walk the talk. But it's always creating opportunities during moments right away for people to act. So let's say she would be coaching somebody and the person would be sharing about, oh, I don't have enough time to do this or can't do that. And she's like, oh, why don't we do it right now? So it's kind of like
mm,
you dancing in front of that person that's shy. It's like they want to obviously be more
mm,
interactive. Otherwise, why are they there? Right? They,
mm.
they want to hang out, but it's like either you stay home or like come and have fun, and
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay to be foolish. Um, and obviously the levels, you don't have to be like full out, gung ho about like I'm gonna just dance and break dance and backflip and stuff like that. But it's like be okay to be yourself and how you want to be, right? And
mm,
no, it's kudos to you to also helping those people
yeah.
shine. Yeah,
We're
I
just
think it's a
waiting for
great
permission, aren't we?
yeah, 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 all the
Yeah,
time, all the
permission to act
time.
silly, permission to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
We're just waiting to be led across the street. Most
yeah,
people are,
and
and
that's why we're in the communities that we're in, because these communities that we're in allow us to like allow us to do the things that we want to do.
yeah,
Hence you're in this gathering of people that you're in. If you're alone, if you're an individual, maybe that next step is to find there's always someone for you out there. I truly
mm,
believe that you can be
true.
part of. But yeah, it's never the end if you're alone. Like definitely reach out, and there's the social media these areas that you can actually connect with people now so easily.
Makes it so easy now, right?
Yeah,
Not like
yeah,
way back in the day where you
yeah.
probably have to go to church or go to a
Oh yeah,
racket club or a
the
newspaper
church,
ad or something.
best social ground. Even now, I think it's still a great. Like I think a lot of the kind of religious organizations, of course, it's a great community. Usually, they're spreading love and talking about great message of how to live your life, and have a structured way of life that has been proven, like, historically, right? So, but it's a great ground of people feeling safe, and they're allowed to do things within that space. So it's always like, yeah, like with church, it was the same thing. Like my wife before, when she was at church, there's a lot of, like, quarters and stuff too, that want to create relationship, but it's always awkward because people are just either too young, don't know how to talk, or it's just like, ooh, this guy doesn't get out much, kind of vibe. So, but it's a lot safer. So I think, these communities and organizations, and let's say religious groups, are all very much a model of the external world, which is
Mm,
a lot more ruthless, and
mm.
for it's more unforgiving when you're in public, because your reputation gets
Yeah.
damaged. Not that it can't be damaged within the small groups, but it's
That's
definitely
feel
a lot
safe,
less.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
the social, survival thing that we survive in groups, right? And when we
yeah,
have the social construct of the group, we feel safe. It's just like a
correct.
shield that we're a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think with social media now too, it has expanded that kind of ground for vulnerability, but
Oh,
also for
totally.
exploitation at the same time. It's a
Mm.
very, very weird kind of dual existence
It's a law of
that can,
polarity, right? When you have one
yeah,
extreme, like love, then you have an extreme side of hate, which is
yeah,
degrees of the same thing.
exactly, exactly. It's a perspective thing too. I really
Um,
believe so. But like how you absorb and how you give to your
mm,
environment and your surroundings,
yeah.
that takes a bit of study and a little trial and error, and potentially some breakdowns, and eventually you'll get some breakthroughs. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I wasn't this person, obviously, like when I was 15 or 16. It was very awkward, always,
Mm,
like, we kind of talked about it, where we prank call, or I prank called my
yeah, yeah,
crush, and it
yeah.
was like,
I received the
holy,
prank calls, yeah, yeah.
yeah, 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 exactly. I wish I
Mm.
was a receiver of prank calls, but but I wasn't. Not anymore. Now we have caller ID.
Okay.
But I was unlucky that time that that person actually had caller ID back then in
Oh,
the
wow.
late '90s. So I was like,
Oh, that's, like, advanced, man. That's like you
yeah,
got
I
a
know.
cell phone brick or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
ready to go.
But yeah,
Mhm,
and I think we kind of talked about, let's say you do build really well in terms of this social exchange. Um,
mm,
Sometimes there does come that time where it becomes overwhelming, in terms of the payouts of these great social investments that you have, and you have to kind of be at the crossroads of, what do you choose to put your time into now, because
mm,
there are these, it's all great opportunities. Let's say there are three of them that comes to you,
mm,
and you can actually only choose one, because of the time commitment, the energy commitment,
right.
and even, let's say, financial commitment, that you have to put into these things. It's like how you choose these things. Yeah, it takes a lot of that part takes a lot of energy for me. Um, but
Right.
yeah, that's kind of where I am,
Mm,
at the moment, where I'm getting the fruits of these connections, but it's like
mhm,
learning how to also convert
right,
into, yeah, into, like, living, right? So,
right.
but excited
Convert and
regardless.
then
Yeah.
also saying no, right? Knowing which ones
Yeah,
to choose, yeah. Mm,
and sometimes it's
and then
hard to say no. Yeah, so
mm,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Though, like, you make a good point. Our time and energy is limited as well, right? So, um, it's like put it where and focus on that particular area as we play our game
Mm,
of life. And for me, like the social exchange where I see with the internet and social media is that more than ever, you can create your tribe. You can attract your tribe and you create your
mhm,
brand, right? It's all about your personal
mm,
brand now, and that's your authentic self. And based on that, you create a community, a following.
yeah,
And then where the social exchange is that you're adding value, you're serving them, right? And
yeah,
what I'm learning is that every now and then you make offers, right? You make
yeah,
yourself available for us to work together.
yes,
And that
yes,
exchange can happen, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
we've been leading the way, adding value and over delivering and then making an offer to
yes.
work together. Yeah. An
Yeah, and
exchange.
that's where the investment comes in, right? that
Mhm.
you have to, especially when you're in the beginning of your career, let's say, being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur or just starting out on learning how to interact with people in general. It's spend time to study what other people are interested in and
Yeah.
actually listen. And be good at asking questions. I think that's what
Yes.
I learned from like, How to Win Friends and Influence People
Oh, totally.
from
Great
Dale
book.
Carnegie book. Fantastic book.
Read that book if you haven't yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
read the book. I only read like a half of it. No, I think I read the whole thing, but I only remember half of it. But it's definitely served me fantastic. That's what I find with books. I'm like text, text. I need more diagrams. That's why I became a photographer. But
And pop quiz.
no, give me pictures and diagrams, pie charts.
Uh,
But the one thing that I learned a lot was going into
mm,
an environment of exchange using questions through
yeah,
curiosity. I think that's
totally.
the best skill if you can train yourself to just ask questions and listen. People
Yeah,
love talking about themselves nonstop.
right.
So
And you can ask the question based on what they said last, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
keeps
yeah.
it going
Just build on
forever.
that.
It keeps it going forever.
It's never ending.
You can even repeat back what they said with
Yeah,
the question,
it's like how
and
you
then they'll go
doing?
in depth.
Oh,
They'll go
how
in
you
depth.
doing? Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
repeat
right.
it.
So that's a great one because asking a
Yeah.
question has got me out of the black hole of my
Yes.
mind.
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember networking and I was
yeah.
so nervous, had social anxiety, and I
Oh
was
wow.
in my head because I was afraid to say the wrong things and look stupid because I was so it was the
Ah,
judgment, right? The judgment
yeah,
saboteur was so strong. So
yeah,
I'm just like the third wheel, just looking, right? Just
yeah,
listening all the time. But
yeah,
what I learned is just ask questions. And
yeah.
that allowed me to be more involved.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You create the space. When
Yeah.
you use questions to create space, so people can feel involved and engaged right away, and it's
Mm,
from their own mind. You're not making them think, or you're not
mm,
forcing a thought on them. You're
mm,
creating a space for them to actually share.
mm,
So, and if they don't know how to share, it's like you can create an example. But you don't say that, right? It's like, oh, so how's the weather today? Oh, you're not too sure. Oh, it's actually a little cloudy. And you don't do that, but it's more like, oh man, what do you think about the weather? Like last night we had this like thunderstorm that scared my kid.
mm.
And then
Oh,
they'll be
yeah.
like, "Holy crap, totally." That's yeah, that I totally had the same experience. But some people won't be brave enough to start off that way. So it's like you create an opening for them to kind of hinge on.
Mm,
And I find that such a kind of sneaky tool that allows a step for them to get onto the space. So it's
mm,
quite an advanced method, I think, of you hear them out, and when they don't know how to respond, you fill the space for them a little bit.
mm,
Like with these interviews, you kind of, because other people are watching and enjoying it as an entertainment, let's say, it's kind of difficult for dead air,
yeah,
depending on the topic. Let's say if we get
yeah,
something philosophical, when you actually become quiet, or when you're
modern,
like,
yeah,
how do you ponder about life? And
mm,
then you create that space, and then
yeah.
it becomes so different, and then I can share like, last night I was, and then you give the really long spaces in between pauses. Then it's a totally different vibe that you can create in terms of environment.
Mhm.
But no, there's just so many different tricks and tools and that you can
Yeah,
add in
it's
in
very
interaction.
interesting with the social dynamics, social exchange.
Yeah.
It's as if like you would only know the patterns or speak about it when you have the experience, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Otherwise,
then
it's sometimes you can't even break it down into objective kind of
it's like a quiz.
modules.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it becomes a very it's like it becomes natural because they've naturalized it
Mm,
obviously in their speech. But like
mm,
obviously people spend time studying in terms of building confidence, and how do you actually do a great presentation, and how do you network properly. There are all these courses on YouTube,
mm.
especially right now. But truly, it's like what you're saying. You have to jump into the fires, of
Yeah,
yeah,
because you can be mechanical. I mean, that's why
yeah,
we have courses, right? the process or giving scripts, like
Mm.
pickup artists, right? You got these scripts and you go to a club and pick up a girl
Yeah.
or a guy, right? And
You smell
after a while,
nice. No, not
yeah,
nice.
doing cold call,
Oh, that
doing
could be
cold
one, you know?
and people know it, right? They know it's like
Yeah,
something's off, something's not right.
yeah,
And I find that like you'll know through common sense. And what's common sense? Well, you got to experience it to be in spirit,
yeah.
to be yourself. Though you only know when you have that experience to go back and look that there are truths, there are principles
Yes,
that we can live
yes,
by. And then we
yeah,
fill in the rest with how we do it.
correct. A
Yeah.
uniqueness to it, right? No,
Yes.
I 100% agree. It's like what Bruce Lee talked about. It's like, take what's good and remove what's bad and then add your own, spice to
Mm,
it, right? So, well,
yeah.
I'm paraphrasing. Obviously, that's not what he said, but it's very much that where, like, as an artist myself, when I was doing photography in the beginning, I was studying a lot of photographers, and I'll be like, oh, I love this about these different artists, but I'll be like, some of the stuff I actually don't like. Either I don't like personally doing, or I'll be like, ooh, that actually doesn't please my eye.
Mm,
Um, and then I added my own kind of flair to it, and then the personality side came in of how I delivered the product and service. Then it becomes mine. This is a
mhm.
Romy Young specific product that no one else can ever compete with, and I don't have
Right.
to charge based on the industry. Um, but even though
Mm,
people might come in with that thought, but it's like I've built so much social assets in terms of my networks
right.
that they trust that I'm providing the best service that I can give. And then they can't get this anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So it's this kind of like uniqueness that they're buying into, and they're also buying how I deliver it to.
Right.
And this all comes from just being good at interacting with people. It's been such a great tool. Yeah.
Oh, powerful. You're going back to your network is your net worth, right? And
Yeah.
when you create your brand and you create your own, um, you now set your worth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly,
Yeah. You know
exactly.
your
Like no
worth.
one's gonna
Yeah.
determine have you're not gonna have to base it on any scale.
Yeah.
Well, to a certain
'Cause you're
scale, like yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. To a certain scale, people will be like,
Oh,
that's too much money. That's my annual income. Then
yeah.
it's like a little different. So,
I don't know,
um,
depending on NFTs, right? Like, I mean
yeah, oh, yeah. Oh man, how crypto has gone. I was looking at was it Terra Luna or something
Oh,
where it
yeah.
dropped 98%. I was like,
On
it was
sale.
worth what?
Woo.
1.8 billion came down to $3,000. I was like,
What?
holy shit.
What?
Yeah.
So the market cap
Uh,
was 1.8 billion and it
yeah,
went down
for
to
Terra.
$3,000? That's
Yeah, that's
crazy.
ridiculous.
I'm not
Ridiculous.
even sure how to make that calculation of a drop.
Yeah,
Is
oh,
that a
1.6.
bazillion?
There you go. 1.6. Oh, it was actually Binance's investment. There you go. Binance Luna investment was worth 1.6 billion. Now it's less than $3,000, and the CEO is moving to protect users. So I'm like, ooh, this is a little kind of bad vibes towards the crypto kind of side of things. But
Mm, yeah.
but no, regardless, that's another totally
Auto.
different conversation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um,
Auto.
how do you build that great social bank account,
Mm,
in the
mm,
social exchange? And I really think is, yeah, that givers gain mindset, where
totally.
you give first, and don't even worry, like it's not a win-lose situation ever. Don't think of it as it has to be a net positive or negative or net zero. Even like it doesn't have to be like a win-lose, even a win-win situation. Don't overthink that. Just go out and listen, hear people out and see what they need. and
Mhm.
and if you can provide that help yourself, great. Invest time into these people that
Yeah.
you want to see them succeed. Or if you can't provide it yourself and somebody, mention that, and
Yeah.
connect people together you know
Exactly. One thing I typically do when I meet people online for the first time, like I use Shaper or Bumble Biz, and they ask me
yeah,
why I'm on here. I say,
yeah,
well, yeah, I'm here to connect with like-minded people, to exchange value, to learn from, and potentially collaborate.
yeah,
Because serving someone doesn't necessarily mean like we got to do business. You can serve
of
them by
course.
making a book recommendation. You can serve
Yeah,
them by bringing that energy. You can
yeah,
serve them by being kind and raising their vibration.
yeah,
And it's just leaving the people and the environment better than you got there. And if you just do that, it's not like you're wasting your energy. You're just uplifting, leaving people with that impression increase. Everything
100%.
else will fall into play. You'll be taken
Correct.
care of. Because when
Yes,
they think
yes.
of you, when they talk about you, there's good vibes associated with that, and if
Always.
everything is energy at the quantum level, that energy is coming back to you, baby.
Yeah, yeah. No, 100%. I really think that, yeah, you don't even have to actually do any type of service or work. Just be a good energy to start.
Mhm.
You'll be the top like 98% of the people meet
100%.
already. Yeah, yeah, it's
You
really
look around
crazy.
the street right now, is anybody, like, looking at you first saying hi?
Nope.
No.
No, no,
Why not be
nobody.
that guy or girl to say,
I know.
"Hi,"
Just be the one.
right?
Sup?
Right.
Nice
Yeah.
to see you. Well, usually I go at the time when there's nobody, so yeah, so I don't have to do that. No, just kidding. Um, not flexing, like no pun intended, my skills on interacting, but sometimes I do prefer to just go work out and leave. So, but the gym
Yeah.
is a fantastic, another environment that I've connected so much
Mm,
with
same.
fantastic people.
Yeah.
Some of the best business people I've connected with are at the
Mm.
gym. So,
Which gym do you go
um,
to?
the Terwilliger Rec Center. So,
Ah,
it's just southwest over here, and
mm,
I play a lot of badminton. So,
mm,
quite a lot of business people also play the badminton sport. So,
mm,
it's a great way to connect. Like, I'm quite at playing at a quite a expert level at it. So I'm not into the let's say state provincial level, but
mm.
or national level, but I'm
Just
quite competitive. Yeah, just
yeah.
below and
It's
stuff.
just
So
right there. It's right, you could go
it's
pro.
it's such a great, like, find what you're good at too.
Mhm,
Let's say for the older people in the crowd that are listening, let's say you're in your late 20s to kind of mid 30s where you've discovered what you're great at, or you've studied your craft to a certain extent and used it a little bit in society already. Use that to see how you can connect with other like-minded people.
mhm,
I really think it would be such a waste if you don't utilize it beyond the format of what it's used for. So for me, it's like badminton. I was able
mm,
to, when I went to like Newcastle, for D&D Newcastle, I was able to connect with the badminton crowd there, and then from there, I was able to um, befriend a lot of business people too that play
mm,
badminton. So it's like
mm,
this weird connection through hobbies
mm,
that I got to connect with amazing people. Same thing with
mm.
photography. Photography is such a great tool that I was able to connect with. Let's say my clients, my wedding clients,
Yeah.
also own a lot of great businesses. So
Yeah.
it's this kind of like through this pathway, this kind of like also nurtured into something that was unexpected. So it's like kind of recognize that piece where
Mm.
you can there's a lot of derivatives that can come from what
Yeah.
you're good at, right? So
You
yeah.
can leverage what you're good at, what you enjoy
Yep,
doing, right? To
exactly. And it
funnel.
becomes effortless. So
Yeah. Yeah.
because you get it already. So
Great. You
um
already enjoy both. You got something to talk about
yeah,
already that you have in common, you know?
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. No,
Mhm.
but
Mm.
fantastic conversation.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did cross the half-hour mark. Today will be a shorter kind of exchange and dialogue. But always appreciate you, my brother Andre, and
Yes.
I appreciate Luke
Appreciate it.
too. So,
Yes.
I know he's here in
Appreciate
spirit
it.
today with us. Just want him to heal
Mm.
and be restful. But no, like if there's anyone with any questions in terms of the social exchange side, we're all quite skilled and experienced networkers here. That I truly believe we can assist and lend a hand to people that have any questions in regards of connecting with people.
Yeah.
But
Shoot us a
seriously, to keep
follow.
it easy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
But keep it simple. Hear people out. Be curious about others, and just lend a hand. I think
Mhm.
that's always a great start. Give anyone 5-minute time. Unless you're in like life-threatening, situations, then yeah, peace out. So know how to run away too when you don't feel right. So
Yeah.
you don't have to give everyone the 5 minutes. So, but five
Be
minutes is a
kind.
lot easier to give. Yeah, be kind. Be kind.
Yeah.
So a great way to put it. So no, thank you so much, Andre, again.
My
But
pleasure.
yeah, next week we can continue on. I'd love to have a special guest too. I will actually be in the mountains in Canmore. So,
Oh, nice.
I can
Yeah.
share a bit of the beautiful
Give us the
space,
background scene. Yeah.
yeah, the fake-ish, virtual background-ish vibe, so it's the mountain. Well,
Yeah.
usually when I share it with people, they're like, "Oh, that looks like nice virtual background." I'm like, "This is
Yeah.
actually
But this is
the
real.
background." Yeah, real well, even with this, for
Oh,
example, like,
yeah.
how
Yeah.
I light it up, a
Yeah.
lot of people always think like, "Wow, where'd you find that virtual background? Nice lights and stuff." I'm like, "Oh," and then I would just, like, push my chair back all the way, and I'm still in the environment, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." That's like the real environment,
Right.
but yeah,
Yeah.
looking forward to that, and, it's a great kind of family vacay to also
Cool.
reset
Yes.
and, yeah,
May
clear my
long
mind
weekend.
again.
Mhm.
Yeah, may long, may long. So, no, thanks, Andre. We will
Yeah.
connect next week,
Good night.
same time.
Good
Awesome,
morning, good
awesome.
afternoon, good evening. Ciao.
Yes. Peace
Bye.
out.